color purple and the shirts. Free Kaitlyn Conley.
Yep,
You
on
guys,
the backs.
you guys believe the verdict, and on the backs.
Wrongful
Okay,
convictions happen.
wrongful convictions happen.
Ask us about our sister.
All right. Well, I'm going to ask you. So about your sister, why do you feel the jury got it wrong?
Because she didn't do it.
You guys are very, very much in belief that she didn't do it.
A lot of people are.
Mhm.
A lot of people in the community, a lot of family members on both sides, both Mary's family and the Conley
A
family.
lot of people who don't even know either family or aren't affected by the outcome or anything with it, they're standing up and stepping forward and talking to each and every one of us and reaching out, and for that we're very thankful and very grateful for, but it's just overwhelming and very surprising about how strongly everyone feels about this and how it wasn't brought up before.
What? Give us some points. And David, you're interesting because you're not a sister or a brother here.
That's correct.
You're actually on the and related to the deceased,
Right.
which I think opens people's eyes a little bit. And your mom also feels the same way as you do. Talk a little bit about your feelings. What did the jury get wrong? Other than she didn't do it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'd like to start off by saying Scott McNamara had commented on closure, and I would really like to remind everybody that Mary Yoder came from a big family. She was one of 8 siblings. You know, that includes my mother, my Aunt Sharon, my Aunt Sally, who have been vocal in this.
Mm-hmm. And he did. He talked about that this finally the Yoder family will have closure.
Mm-hmm.
And you disagree.
The Yoders, perhaps they have closure, but there's a lot more people involved in this case. There's many people who have been affected. You know, not only was Mary a mother, she was a sister, she was a daughter, she was an aunt, and she was a friend to many. There's a lot of people that have a lot of unanswered questions. There's been a great deal of public outcry as well, and I think to even begin using the word closure is a bit premature.
Yeah. How do you? Okay, I'd like to. And I asked the question before. What makes you feel that she is innocent? And it's not going to be enough to hear. Well, because we know she is. What was missed? What key elements are there out there that would make somebody say, I didn't hear that during the trial. How did that not get brought up?
I'm glad you asked, Bill. So, I'd like to start off by saying the Yoder family did not start this investigation. It was my Aunt Sharon who began asking the questions and approached the Oneida County Sheriff's Department. And with that being said, as far as what led us to believe Katie did not do this, right after Sharon had initiated this, they had approached the sisters who were outspoken, said we want to talk to you. They went in for a briefing, and they came out feeling very dismissed because they did not agree with the theory that had been presented to them.
The
by
theory
Sheriff's
was
Department. Correct.
that Kaitlyn had committed the murder.
I believe that is the theory they presented
Okay.
then at that time. I was present, expecting to be, shown that brief, but I was told, no, I can't go in there, and I was dismissed as well. I thought, given that many of these accusations had stemmed from Adam Yoder, that myself, being very close to Adam Yoder for a number of years, and we really were overlooked.
Mm-hmm. I want to remind you guys that legally, in the eyes of the law, Kaitlyn is guilty, and that Bill and Adam Yoder are innocent. So these are your opinions. I understand this stuff has come out in the first trial and the second trial, some of which probably hasn't come out. But at the end of the day, from our standpoint as broadcasters, we have to announce that these are your opinions, and that everything you say is alleged, and that in the eyes of the law, Bill and Adam are not guilty. And when you talk to Scott McNamara, which we did. And I don't know if you guys had a chance to hear that or see that interview. It was pretty in depth. And his belief is, and he did mention the closure, but he is vehemently in belief that Kaitlyn masterminded this entire thing, and ultimately it seems like the jury believed that too in the end. So can you point out some key points? Is there anything that you can say, here's why we know she didn't do it? And are there any things that you think weren't brought out in the trial? Clearly you must feel that way. And I'm assuming you feel, who do you guys feel, if Kaitlyn didn't do it, who did it?
Oh boy.
I was gonna say that's a loaded question.
Okay, you feel it's deeper than just one person, you think? Do you guys feel it was intentional or it was a mistake?
I personally don't believe that the intention was for Mary to ultimately die.
Okay.
I can't really speak on that because obviously none of us did that. Katie didn't do this. So to ask us what their intentions were,
Right.
like, I couldn't answer for that.
Okay.
So one thing I want to ask, you had said that your Aunt Sharon had approached the sheriff's office with, to say that there might be something suspicious here.
Mm-hmm.
What brought about Kaitlyn writing the letter to law enforcement? Do you know why she did that?
The so-called anonymous letter.
Yeah.
You realize that letter is the one thing that the prosecution has used, saying, well, this is...
And that's why I asked.
She tried to set up Adam, and she planted this into the car, and she wrote the letter. You guys don't believe that's true?
Well, I just think it's like she had information that she knew that needed to be brought up and brought to their attention, and she didn't want her name on it, and I do not blame her at all. She was just trying to help in any way, shape, or form. She never didn't try to help. She brought everything that she could for them, and she brought this to their attention in hopes that it would help, and
Ended
they
up kind of blowing up in her
didn't
face.
leave any stone unturned, and apparently there's a lot of other stones out there that haven't even been looked at.
And you guys are saying that the prosecution chose her as the murderer, and wouldn't look the other ways that you guys felt they should have been looking.
They just put their blinders on and just kind of were like, oh, dead set on her. And I just think it's funny how
It just seemed like very tunnel visioned.
Mm-hmm.
That they focused on one person and getting the evidence or lack thereof to focus on one person instead of really following through on all the leads and really addressing everyone's concerns. Like if someone's saying that she didn't do it, she's innocent, maybe look at other people involved and see if they had motive, if they had opportunity to do so. And I feel like the outcome would have been very different if they had followed through.
How do you guys explain? I'm just going to start throwing some things out. And if there's anything that you're not communicating and I'm not allowing you to communicate, let me know because I will just stop. But how do you justify or explain away all of these things that were found on her cell phone? And they're saying they found a screenshot of how to kill with colchicine or...
Yeah.
How do you explain that? Anybody want to pick that one?
I can start that off.
Okay.
Adam lived with me for about 4 to 5 months after Mary had passed. Okay, and in that time frame, he had possession of Katie's laptop. Okay, and he had possession of Katie's laptop for quite some time. And I had asked him about this because it was in a flowery case. There was a Victorian background.
That he had
He's not a character.
So you saw him with that laptop in his possession for several days?
A couple of years, I'd say.
Yeah.
And I testified to this in the trial.
Mm-hmm. That's the part I didn't realize that had occurred. What about the cell phone?
The cell phone? Adam admitted in testimony that he would use it on occasion, and Kitty's the type of person that if he's like, oh, can I use your phone for the day, if she didn't need it, she would let him.
I think another interesting thing to bring
If you
up,
could just turn the mic right towards you a little bit.
I think another interesting thing to bring up is that her phone was not password protected. Neither was our home Wi-Fi.
Mm-hmm.
And
And who said, is it Adam that set up the Wi-Fi? That's what we learned in the
several years
testimony.
ago, yes.
Okay.
So
Not
he-
password protected at all.
No.
So
It is
any-
He
now.
was aware of it.
It is now. I imagine it is now.
Yeah.
So anybody could have logged on to come out to near your house and logged in.
Hopped on and done
Yeah,
whatever they wanted.
okay.
That's right. You could access the Wi-Fi from across the street if you wanted to.
Yeah.
You can sit outside the house. If the Wi-Fi is unprotected, the house might as well be an internet cafe.
Yeah.
I
So-
think, one other thing to
Yeah.
mention too about having access to the phone, they shared a single Apple ID. And we've been fooling around with the Apple ID stuff on our own. And it's crazy just the amount of information that gets linked if you share one
Mhm.
ID among multiple devices.
Yep, that is certainly true.
And everything that they proved, they can prove that things were done, but you can't with any degree of certainty say who was responsible
That
for
is
putting
true.
those pictures there, for taking those screenshots, for doing those research. And
That is true.
that is a big part of this.
Yeah, it is one of the issues. It's the leap that you have to take if you're a juror. That leap, it is a big leap, because there's no evidence that would absolutely prove that it was Kaitlyn that searched, Kaitlyn that did any of that. There is no evidence. I mean, there's evidence that leads us to believe that, but there's no absolute evidence that pins her to that. However, they did say at times when the phone was being used, I'm at least the DA alluded to this, that when the search was being done, I'm not sure we got a clear answer on this, because we asked Policelli about this and the DA, but the DA seemed to believe that when the searching was being done on the Colta scene, that Kaitlyn was using the phone, personally using the phone. I'm sure you guys saw that during the testimony. What are your thoughts on that?
See, and that would be another thing that I'd bring up about the linked Apple ID,
Mm-hmm.
is that if you got multiple devices sharing one Apple ID, there's a lot of questions on what would show up as their user attribution. And if two people are using the same Apple ID and looking
Mhm.
things up in a close period of time, if that can be linked and they're trying to say Katie was looking up both of these things. I think another thing to mention is that they were bringing up some of their evidence about the research and the screenshots with the poison, that things were showing up on her phone at like 3, 4 in the morning, 2 in the morning. I think an important thing to bring up is that Katie was working full-time job. She was working 2 part-time jobs, taking care of a shut-in, doing painting on the side. She was also going to school full-time and keeping good grades. We also have a lot of animals, horses, chickens, goats at our house, and she was responsible for taking care of them as well. So in between all of this time being a full-time college student, working a full job, working 2 side jobs, and maintaining grades, she's all of a
What was she
sudden this
doing up at 3 o'clock in the
mastermind.
morning? Yeah. We're talking to the Conley sisters, Kaitlyn Conley's 3 sisters, and David King would be the nephew of the deceased, Mary Yoder.
That's correct.
Anything anybody else wants to add to that? And I'll take a break, and
Yeah.
we'll regroup a little bit here. So, all right, can we do that? Again, we'll continue with this on the other side. I'll do a break. Our question, our free money question, I'm going to move into the 8 o'clock hour, just because putting it smack down in the middle of this doesn't really fit. But we will do it before we leave this morning at 9 o'clock. And let me break. It's 7:31 at WIBX.